So Diddy, along with Charlamagne the God, along with a few other people, Chris Paul of all people, they all created a petition, a letter warning Joe Biden that if he does not pick a black woman vice president, that he will lose this election.
And what are they basing that shit on?
Just feel good talk. You know how that goes.
Yeah, that's all. It's gonna be. It's feel good talk.
I read a quote. It says, "Failing to select a black woman in 2020 means you will lose the election. We don't want to choose between the lesser of two evils, and we don't want to vote for the devil we know versus the devil we don't."
So how does a black woman running with him negate the fact that you're still gonna vote for him? Am I missing something?
Listen. Like I'm so lost on this argument. You get what I'm saying? Every time Charlamagne mentions it on his podcast, like, if you don't work, I don't get. Like, if you don't work, I don't get. We had a black guy as a president, not a vice president.
Right. We had a black guy as a president
for 8 years.
Yes.
Nothing happened.
I'm committed to naming any but the people I've named, and among them there are 4 black women. So I committed that if I'm elected president, have an opportunity to appoint someone to the courts, I'll appoint the first black woman to the courts. It's required that they have representation now. It's long overdue. Secondly, if I'm elected president, my cabinet, my administration will look like the country. And I commit that I will, in fact, pick a woman to be vice president. There are a number of women who are qualified to be president tomorrow. I would pick a woman to be my vice president.
Just to be clear, you just committed here tonight that your running mate, if you get the nomination, will be a woman?
Yes.
Let me, Senator Sanders, will you
may I just respond?
Please.
To politics south of the border now, where suspense is building over who the presumptive Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden will choose to be his running mate. Biden has committed to picking a woman, and several names are still in contention.
Fortune entertainment figures, along with more than 100 other black male leaders, sent an open letter to Joe Biden expressing disgust at the way black women have been unfairly criticized and scrutinized during his vetting process to pick his running mate. He is going to announce the VP pick this week. The letter says, as someone who has said throughout the campaign that VP Joe Biden needs to choose a black woman VP, the urgency for that pick has gone from something that should happen to something that has to happen.
Sibilia said she's especially eager to see who Biden chooses this year.
Joe Biden having designated a woman from the outset to be his running mate has created a whole new platform. And I find that very exciting, very interesting.
He's actually been pushing a federal judge from his home state for more than a year now. He believes that a big reason why the president is even in office today is because of the promise that Biden made in South Carolina almost 2 years ago. Just days before the South Carolina primary in February of 2020, the state's top Democrat, Congressman Jim Clyburn, pulled then candidate Joe Biden aside and urged him to speak up.
His campaign was struggling, had just lost 3 primaries, and this was, quite frankly, do or die for him. I urged him to come out publicly for putting an African-American woman on the Supreme Court.
And that's exactly.
I'm having a 2-hour vetting report from the lawyers and women and men of color, as well as white folks who are doing the vetting. Vetting report from the lawyers and women and men of color, as well as white folks who are doing the vetting. We've gone through about 4 candidates so far in the 2-hour vetting, and then when I get all the vetting done of all the candidates, then I'm going to narrow the list, and then we'll see. And then I'm going to have personal discussions with each of the candidates.
The pre-recorded announcement comes days after more than 200 black women signed an open letter to Biden urging him to choose a black woman as a running mate. CBS News political correspondent Ed O'Keefe has more on that race.
The values of diversity, equality, inclusion are literally, and that's not kidding, the core strengths of America. That's why I'm proud to have the most diverse administration in history. It taps into the full talents of our country. It starts at the top with the vice president.